Creative Arts Students' Union uses the alternative vote, also known as AV. So how does AV work? Let's say we have 5 candidates in our election for Students' Union President. When you vote in the election, you'll be asked to rank the candidates in order of preference. This means you need to put a number 1 by your favourite, a number 2 by your second choice, and so on. In every election, a candidate called Reopen Nominations, also known as RON, will run. In the event you do not wish to vote for any of the candidates on the ballot, you can put RON as your number 1 choice. To win, a candidate must reach quota, which is the total number of votes divided by 2 plus 1. In our election, there have been 1,000 votes, so quota is 501. The votes are counted in rounds. In round 1, we count the number of number 1 votes that all candidates have received. We can see here that Jim is the most popular candidate with 400 votes, but no candidate has reached the quota of 501. As no candidate has reached quota, we now eliminate the least popular candidate. In this case, this is Ron, who only got 125 votes. We then look at the ballots that have marked Ron as first choice candidate. Some of those ballots also have a second choice vote. We transfer these second choice votes to the relevant candidates and count the votes again. In round 2, Jim is still most popular with 425 votes, but still no candidate has reached quota. The least popular candidate is Gemma, who is eliminated and her votes are transferred to the next favourite candidate. This process continues until either one candidate reaches quota or only one candidate remains. If a candidate reaches quota, they're automatically elected. In our election, Bob didn't quite reach quota by the last round, but as he's the last candidate remaining, he's elected. For more information on AV, check out the Electoral Reform Society website or contact the returning officer in your students' union.
Hello and welcome to the presidential debates for the 2022 UCA Students' Union elections. My name is Andy Squire. I'm the Chief Exec of the Students' Union, so I look after the staff team and I've worked here for a number of years. The purpose of the debate tonight is for you to be able to get to better understand the candidates who are running for election and for you to feel like you're better informed when you come to vote. So tonight you'll be hearing from the candidates who want to be your President Kent, first of all, and then followed by your President Surrey. All students get a vote in both elections, regardless of where you study. You get to vote for both President Kent and President Surrey. The presidents work full-time for 1 year in the Students' Union, representing your views and interests in all the work that we do. So, firstly, I hope you know that it's not just the president roles that are being voted on. We also have 8 part-time officer positions spanning the 4 campuses. And we've had a really, really strong number of candidates this year. So getting up around 40, which is really strong. So thank you to everyone who's nominated themselves. The part-time officers won't be featuring in tonight's debate. We'll just be hearing from the presidential candidates. But please do check out their manifestos online at ucasu.com/elections. So back to tonight's debate. We're going to be asking a series of questions. Some of those have been submitted by students. And after each question, there will be a couple of minutes to answer any follow-ups from the audience. You can comment any questions you have on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/UCA Students' Union. We should be live there. And seeing as though we have so many candidates, we're going to be splitting, or so many nominations and candidates, we're going to be splitting the evening into President Kent and President Surrey. So tonight we have 2 candidates with us from President Kent. That is Fee and Sol. There are another 2 candidates who are standing in the election. They're not with us yet, but if they join us, we'll be adding them in. So for the time being, we're going to be hearing from Fee and Sol. So we're gonna kick off first of all with an introduction from each candidate, and we're going to ask them to explain a little bit about their manifesto and why they want you to vote for them. So Sol, would you like to go first in introducing yourself and explaining your manifesto, please?
Yeah, will do. Thank you. So, hello, my name is Sol. My pronouns are she, her. You might know me as the current President Kent, but I was originally, I was an international student, originally from Norway, and I studied fine art at UCA Canterbury. I'm also a queer and neurodivergent woman, and I have a long history of doing activism work in different areas, which I channel into a lot of what I do. I feel like that sums it up neatly. I personally feel like 1 year was not enough for me to be able to do everything that I wanted to do. And there are so many more things, and there continues to be more things that pops up that I'm like, oh, I want to do something about this. I have 4 main parts of my manifesto this year, which is to cultivate campus community, getting more events in, getting life in the bar in Canterbury, and celebrating Rochester and FE in their last year, and just make sure that the community on campus is what is being advertised to you, which I currently feel like it's not. The second one is to enhance employability. Obviously, it's a big anxiety for students to have to figure out what to do after university, and I feel like the university should really be there for you at every step of the way to make sure that you are doing what you want to do after university, or at least that you're taking the right steps to get there. And I will try to invite speakers to come and have networking sessions and portfolio review sessions. I will continue to work, or I will work with the careers team at UCA to make sure that they are at our events like our makers markets, so that they can speak on things like, for example, how to market yourself as an artist. And I will also try to integrate UCA better into the surrounding community so that people in the community are aware that UCA is here, and it has a lot of great artists. Then I would implement international inclusivity. That is an ongoing campaign that I...
Thank you, Sol.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. That's 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. No worries.
Thank you. And Fee, could you do the same, please? Can you introduce yourself and introduce your manifesto, please?
Hi, I'm Fee. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a third-year graphic design student at the Canterbury campus at the moment. I've been a part-time officer on the Students' Union for the past 2 years. During this time, I have been very active in the issues surrounding the sexual assault on campuses, and I've worked, and actually I released a statement to do with that, and have been working to improve the safety for students on campuses. I'm also working towards getting a graduation ball in place for the Kent campuses, and I would like to do that if elected for the other 2 campuses as well. My main manifesto points are equity across all 4 campuses, as I feel like there are discrepancies with how Surrey and Kent are treated and what sort of events, etc. we all get. Funding transparency is another key point in my manifesto. I believe both the university and the Students' Union need to be more transparent and clear and give students a voice into where some of the money spent goes, as that is very key to student experience. And my final manifesto point is about student engagement with the Student Union, as I feel like a lot of students don't really know fully what the Students' Union can do for them, and don't get to know personally their representatives. And I think it's so important that we all work together, because the people representing you need to hear from you and need to voice your opinions. So for us to get to know each other is really, really important. I think that sums everything up from me.
Thank you, Fee. Right, so we've just been joined by Vicky, who so welcome, Vicky. You're also running as a candidate for President Kent. Where we're at the moment is we're just looking for an introduction from you and your manifesto, for a 2-minute introduction, please. So
okay.
Over to you, please.
I'm so sorry for being late. I had a problem with my connection. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we've got you. Thank you.
Okay, right. Yeah, so I kind of like just decided to run sort of very quickly. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind. basically, I'm a mature student, obviously, and I've been at the Canterbury campus for about 4 years. I came there as an access student in fashion and textiles, and it's something that I always wanted to do. I love being on campus. I love the experience, and I feel like one of the main things for it was the sense of community there. I was worried that I was going to fit in, and but being on campus with lots of different types of people was just amazing. So my manifesto is all kind of based around that and about community. And obviously since COVID, it's kind of been hugely affected. And I want to kind of bring it back up to what it was like for me in the first year in Access. And what I think is lacking is there's the community. Sorry, I get very nervous. So if I just run through my main points of what I'm going to be doing, like interested in, is increased visibility of the Students' Union, campus walkabouts, drop-in sessions for you to come and have a chat, improved campus communication, publicising of events and opportunities, increased student activities, social clubs, societies and events, art fairs to give the opportunity to promote your art and small independent businesses, sharing skills and interest register, pursue cross-discipline interaction between the years and the different courses and different age groups and backgrounds, pursue studio class visits, projects with other courses.
Thank you, Vicky.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry. Thank you. That was your 2 minutes. Thank you. And well done to all of you. That's I know something which is unfamiliar to be doing this. So well done to all of you. So we're going to just go to some prepared questions. We're going to go to first in the same order as what we have just done. So that's Sol, Fee, and then Vicky. The first question, please, is: if elected, what do you think should be regarding the Rochester campus closure? So we'll be going first to Sol. Over to you, please, Sol.
Thank you. Yeah, so seeing as there sadly is no going back on the decision, I think the biggest priority right now should be to really celebrate Rochester and FE in its final year. And if elected, I would work to organise parties and events for FE and Rochester students to make the community feel on campus as lively and celebratory as possible. And obviously, the union was not consulted at all during the decision-making process, and students were not made aware before a firm decision had already been made. Another really important priority would therefore be to ensure that UCA is transparent around these sorts of decisions in the future. I would work toward having more student forums with the leadership team so that students can ask questions and raise concerns. And I would continue working with UCA to ensure that everything is as transparent as possible on their end, and that students feel like they can have a say in these huge decisions that directly affect them and their experience. Thank you.
So we'll go next to Fee, please. I should also say we've got 3 minutes for these questions, so just for anyone keeping count of the time. Thanks.
I think the priority with the closure has to absolutely 100% be the students. I think it's very easy with the two smaller campuses anyway for students to get a little bit left behind and forgotten, and that absolutely cannot happen with the Rochester closure. We need to keep asking those students, keeping in contact with those students, making sure they have the support they need, making sure that just because the campus is closing, their student experience isn't being affected, that the teaching quality, the extracurricular activities, the social life all remains high quality, and that they don't start to lose out because of the closing. I think it's really important as well to take suggestions from them and make sure it's not just people's predisposed ideas, having worked on the union and having been involved in the closure, whereas many students haven't had that opportunity. We really need to listen to them and see what they want and how they would like it to be treated. Furthermore, I think just because the campus closes, they should still be able to access the UCA support. So I think they should be able to access careers, all of that kind of thing on other campuses. So I propose that actually we spend some funding on transport so that Rochester students are able to go to the nearest campus, being Canterbury, and access their resources if need be, if the closing is affecting those, talk to their careers advisors, just so they don't get left behind and don't start to lose out because of the closing. And yeah, that's everything from me.
Thank you, Fee. And finally, the final response to the pre-prepared question. Vicky, over to you.
Okay, so if elected, I think the student union's priorities regarding the Rochester campus closure should be to ensure that management is held accountable for making sure that the closure should not impact on the quality of the course provision available to the students. With the nature of an impending closure, it would be likely that there would be some issues with staff retention and morale, which would also affect the student population, and therefore it's vital that there is adequate support for the teaching and workshop staff in order to maintain the support required by the students to keep up the current standard of provision, including ease of access to students to see their personal development tutors to discuss any issues that they may be experiencing. There will also be students who will be moving to campus to continue their studies, and advice regarding the practicalities of that will also need to be addressed. It will also be useful to organise events and initiatives to integrate with students on their new campus throughout the year. Management should also be given regular updates to include opportunities for student Q&A. And the role of students should be proactively making sure that this is happening. It's a role directly with the students themselves, is that they know that they can go to ask for help, offering regular drop-in sessions, as well as being able to email for advice and individual support. Ultimately, every student is part of the union and should all receive all the help that is available to them. That's it.
Thanks everybody for a great opening question, open responses. So we're moving on to another question from students, and it's a really important one. First of all, remember that we can accept questions also via YouTube channel. If you search UCA Students Union, we'll show up there, and you can ask your questions there. So for the first one from a student, what will you do to uphold freedom of speech at UCA? What would you do to uphold freedom of speech at UCA? This time we'll start with Fee, please. You have 2.5 minutes.
I think that's a really interesting question. I think something that hasn't been done as much as it should have been, and I think would really help with that, is having perhaps monthly or bi-monthly drop-in sessions with the Students' Union to ensure that you are able to say what you want and your voices aren't being silenced, and not a very specific agenda isn't being pushed by the members of the Students' Union. Because it's easy for voices to get pushed back if students feel they don't have the opportunity to share and contact the right people. I think it's also a good idea to have more things like the language cafe that we have on campus, but just for students to get together and be able to talk to each other and express how they feel, talk about issues on campus, talk about any other issues that are going on, and really lean on each other for support and be able to share ideas in a really safe space for them and free space. Yeah, that's what I think should be done.
Thank you. Vicky, would you like to go next, please?
Yeah, I think Fee said it very well, actually. I think also possibly, I don't know, like you could have an anonymous, if people are feeling like that they can't say what they feel and are too kind of scared to say something, that some kind of initiative where they could post in anonymous kind of questions, and we could have like a board that kind of addresses them, so it's all anonymized. Sorry, I can't really think of anything to add to what Fee said apart from that.
That's fine, thank you. Sol, would you like to round off this question, please?
Yeah. So in my opinion, freedom of speech is, you know, at UCA, obviously you have freedom of speech. In England, you have freedom of speech, and you will always have the right to express, you know, your opinions and express yourself. And I will, you know, continue to uphold the different avenues that students have currently in order to express themselves and their opinions. But it's also very important to remember that freedom of speech is not necessarily a guarantee of a platform. And we need to make sure that we are representing every student, and that includes those of minorities. Therefore, if there is something that breaches the line of discrimination or hate speech, we need to really make sure that we are protecting those students by not platforming someone simply because we can. Yeah, that's my answer. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Right, thanks all of you. That was it can be quite a complicated question, but I think you've all done really well there. Thank you. Our third question of the evening is from the Pro Vice Chancellor Student Experience, Sarah Clark. Sarah works really closely with the Students' Union on behalf of the university, and asks candidates the following question: what type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with UCA? That's what type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with UCA? Vicky, would you like to go first on this one?
When you say UCA, I imagine that means management, doesn't it? I think. Sorry.
I didn't say anything. Right,
okay, sorry. Yeah. So, I think the Students' Union should be a voice for students, where they don't necessarily don't feel like they have a voice. They should be able to come to us and tell us how they feel, and then we should be a spokesperson for them when we go to meetings. And sorry, can you say the question again?
Yes, it's what type of relationship do you think the Students' Union should have with UCA?
So, yeah, basically, oh, you're going to cut me off in a minute. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I've lost it.
That's fine. Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So, would you like to come in next, please?
Yep, thank you. So I think the relationship that we should have with UCA is a critical friend. So having worked in the union for a year, I have learned that it's important to uphold a good relationship with UCA, no matter what type of department that may be. But I have seen, personally working here, that those good relationships really help the student experience, and it really helps us to work collaboratively to better the student experience as a whole. But we should still, like I said, be a critical friend, and we should still be able to bring issues directly to UCA and to be honest in what we think is best for students and what students have told us is best for them. So we need to remain friendly, and we need to still have that collaborative energy, but we also need to be critical where necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky, do you want to come back in there, or would you be happy to do that?
Sort of like management, but I'm assuming that you'd like be going along to a lot of the meetings to discuss what's going on, so you will have information about changes and things that are going to happen, no, I'm going to have to leave. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
No problem. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. That's okay. We'll just go to we'll go to Fee, please.
I think the relationship between the university and the students' union needs to be kind of like a strong bridge for students. I think the relationship needs to be a lot stronger, as from my student experience and my 2 years on the students' union panel, lots of staff as well as students don't really know what the students' union does. And therefore, if staff don't know, members of the UCA team don't know, it becomes much, much harder for students to know and students to get involved and know who they can go to, where they can go to, how they can contact them. So I think there needs to be a much closer relationship. In the UCA really needs to advertise and push the students' union more, and they need to be linked together more. They need to communicate with each other in a better way so that students are able to utilise the students' union as best as they can. But similarly to what Sol said, there does need to be that distance so that the university can respect when we are coming to them with criticisms and things that need changing. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to a couple of questions from YouTube, from our comment section. I will just say at this point, Vicky is disconnected, so for the time being, we are with Sol and Fee as the two candidates who are with us currently. So for the time being, we won't have any additional candidates, but I'll let you know if anything changes. So the first question is from YouTube, from Rosanna62. And the question is, would you try to restore Canterbury's Lounge to a bar and student space? Sol, would you like to go first?
Yes. Yes, I would. It's something that I've been trying to do currently. It's something that I am working on actively as your current president, and it's something that I would continue to work on. And I would work with our events manager, and I would work with students as well, and make sure that students have a say in what events will be happening in there. It will help them also to do some volunteer work as well, setting up and coming with ideas. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Fee.
Yes, this is actually something I am so passionate about and have been trying to do in the past year as a student officer. I've actually had meetings with the Students' Union team about this, really pushing for it. I've listened to students, and we have ideas for events such as open mic nights, quiz nights, all of this kind of thing. And I really think that students should be able to lead it, and we should have less of a delay due to the technical aspects and making everything professional, because at the end of the day, Canterbury students just want events and they can put those on themselves, really. I've had people who have come to me and they know how to do sound, they know how to do lighting, they have microphones and they want to put them up and do an open mic night. And I see no reason really why that can't happen. And I would really, if elected, be pushing for that to happen as soon as possible.
Thank you. Vicky, you've rejoined us. At the moment, we're on questions from students, and the current question is from Rosanna62. Would you try to restore Canterbury's Lounge to a bar and student space? Oh, sorry, Vicky. One moment. Sorry, you're muted at the moment. We'll just put you on the screen and get you unmuted.
Hello. Yeah, I know that the since I've been at Canterbury, aside from COVID, I have seen more of an uptake in the bar of it's used, well, during the day at very least, it's used a lot more than it it ever was when it was a bar. And I know that it's one of those things that it's very unlikely that they would change it back. But saying that, as a space, it is still available to be used for all sorts of events that can be student-led. And they are allowed to get temporary licenses for events as well. So it doesn't really need to become back a bar, but it definitely needs to be utilised more. That's it.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to a question from our current president, Surrey, Gabe, which is, how would you work to increase the visibility of sabbatical officers on UCA campuses? Fee, would you like to take this one first?
So this is actually one of my main manifesto points, and what I would be proposing is a monthly or bi-monthly drop-in session where students can come as they please for maybe an hour or two each month, and they can ask questions, make suggestions, simply just have a chat with their sabbatical officers to get to know them, so that if they see them around campus, it's more of a friendly face and they feel that they can approach them. I believe every student in Freshers Week should be given the information in a leaflet or a pamphlet, emails as well, making sure that they have all of their sabbatical officers' email addresses so they are easily contactable at any time, and making sure actually the sabbatical officers just go into studios now and then, make sure they're in the cafe, in the library, and are available to talk to students and really listen to them. And that's all from me.
Thank you. I'm losing track of who's gone and what order we're doing things in. Vicky, would you like to go next on this question, please? Which is, how would you?
One of the big things for me is going for walkabouts around the studios. That's how I've got to know a lot of people since I've been there. And I think more of that should just be encouraged anyway, for all the students to go and have a look around other people's spaces. But I'm the same again. I would like to set up regular drop-in sessions that are sort of that anyone can come along to and just have a chat, have a cup of tea, and also just like email me and ask me questions as and when as well, and sort of book appointments to come in.
Thank you. And finally, Sol.
Yeah, thank you. So this is something that I have been working a lot on as the current president, Kent. And one of the ways that I have been doing this is I've been attending a couple of morning briefings to introduce both myself and the union to different year groups. I've started with the fine art students, and I will hopefully continue to do so with other courses as well. Obviously, social media is a big one as well. And I would continue to promote our social media and promote our weekly digest and the things where students get information about what the Students' Union is doing. But similarly to what Fee and Vicky said, I would continue to walk around the campus, walk up to students and introduce both myself and the union, tell them where the office is, tell them how they can get in touch with me and in touch with the union. And I will, I would continue to do these things, as well as putting up marketing, putting up posters with both of our faces on them, so that everyone who walks around the campus knows our faces, knows our names, and knows that they can stop us at any time for a chat. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a couple more student questions. What I'm going to do is instead of picking on you to go in a particular order, if you'd like to make yourselves known as you'd like to answer, then we can do it in that order. So I won't be picking on you, but you can put your hand up if you want to answer first. So the next question is from YouTube, which is from Ali Yu. And the question is, what current NUS campaigns will you be supporting and try to implement moving forward? Fee, you've put your hand up.
I think the violence and harassment campaign is very important and something I've already worked on as a part-time officer, and I'd like to continue working on that. I have proposed that at Freshers we have a couple of self-defense classes, and also that safety sets become available. So that's something I'd like to continue campaigning for. And most importantly, I think, particularly as we're an arts uni, I would be supporting the NUS's Attacking Opportunities campaign. As most of you will probably know, the government are wanting to cut arts funding by 50%, and that would affect UCA hugely, and that's something I would really want to work with NUS to campaign against and work as hard as we can to make sure that doesn't impact UCA students as much as we possibly are able to. Thank you.
Sol.
Thank you. So as President Kent, I have been supporting one of the current campaigns, which is the Student Strike for Education. We went to the demo in London, attended those strikes and those workshops, which was really great. And I would continue to work on the new vision for education, as I totally agree with NUS that education should be funded, accessible, lifelong, and democratized. And I feel like these are all very important things to be working on. And although they are incredibly big and ambitious goals, I feel like they're important and should continue to be worked on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vicky, would you like to come in, please?
I mean, I have to be totally honest. I am very new to this. I wasn't really that aware too much about what the student union does. I've only recently decided to run. So for me, it's kind of, I'm interested in all of them going forward, and for me, it will be if I get elected, it would be a really big learning curve, that I would come at them with fresh ideas, and sort of pursue everything that is of interest to the students on campuses.
Thank you very much. We'll go to we just received another question via YouTube, which is from Amanda Francis. Actually, before I go on to this, seeing as our last question was about the NUS, I will remind everybody that we have an NUS referendum coming up as part of this election process. So when you're voting for your candidates, that you'll also have an option to decide whether or not you think UCA Students' Union should remain affiliated to the National Union of Students. There's arguments for and against that on our website, and you might see some students around campus campaigning one way or another. So please make sure that you vote in the referendum at the same time. And we will go back to, sorry, I realise it's just gone off the screen. I'm just playing havoc with colleagues here. So we're going to go back to Amanda Francis, and the question is, how can we support any Russian students during the Ukraine crisis so they are not isolated and feel fully inclusive? Yes, Vicky, thank you.
I think maybe that we should actually sort of have an immediate kind of initiative and organise an event for everybody to go to, precisely just to kind of to address that, and encourage some projects, sort of across the campuses and talk about it in morning briefings.
Thank you, Vicky. Can I get a volunteer for the second answer, please? Fee?
I think making as many gateway staff as possible, as soon as possible, for Russian students and Ukrainian students to be able to go to is really, really important. I also think briefing tutors and helping them listen out for and pay attention to what students are saying and making sure there is no discrimination towards Russian students just because of a situation that is completely out of their control, and that they don't start getting left behind by other students and kind of pushed away. And yes, I think I agree with Vicky. I think having an event, an open space to discuss this and have support would be really, really important. Also, UCA getting involved in helping with refugee donations, I think is something that could be really positive and help bring community together. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally for this question, Sol.
Thank you. Good question. I feel like we should continue working with UCA to make sure that the gateway services, as well as the Students' Union support service, is pushed and promoted as much as possible, and that that students are aware of how the process works and how they can access that support. I would also, like Fee said, I fully agree that staff should be informed on how to speak on these issues, how to talk to students about it, and make sure that they are being as empathetic and as supportive as they can when they're speaking with anyone about this. But I also feel like the support services should be pushed and promoted as much as possible, and also the report and support, so that students could report if they are facing any discrimination because of the fact that they're Russian. That report and support is promoted so that they know where to report this and also how to access support after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is almost the end of our questions tonight. Thank you for everyone for taking part and for everyone who sent in their questions. This is not an easy thing to do. Like the candidates are really put on the spot, so they deserve a bit of credit for sticking through this and for going through facing all your questions like this. So thank you for that. And for anyone who's interested in how to vote, you can read more about these candidates at ucasu.com/elections. That's ucasu.com/elections. Voting has already opened, so please go to ucasu.com/elections. Log in with your UCA login, and you can cast your vote in both the SU elections and the NUS referendum. You'll be asked to vote in order of preference, so it's not a case of ticking or crossing a box. You put number 1 next to your first preference, number 2 next to your second preference, and so on. Voting will close at 4 o'clock this coming Friday, and there will be a live results announcement, a bit like this one, on Friday evening. So you can watch that live stream just like this from 6 p.m. on Friday. Given that we're asking voters to rank their candidates in order of preference, who they want to vote for, we're actually going to ask the candidates. Obviously, you'll be asking students to vote number 1 for yourself, but who will you ask to vote for who will you ask students to vote number 2 for this position? It's your second preference after you. Happy to take any order that you that you want to answer this in. Fee, go ahead.
I would be asking and recommending students to vote for Sol as their number 2, because out of my 2 years working as a part-time officer, she's been absolutely amazing to work with, listened every chance, everything I've asked. She's been so quick to respond, so helpful, really, really thorough. And her heart is just absolutely in the right place. And she really wants and understands what's best for students and is always happy to listen. So my vote will be going to Sol, and I 100% would say Sol for a second vote to other students too.
Thank you. Do I have a volunteer for a second? Sol, go ahead.
First of all, thank you so much. That's really sweet. I would tell students to vote for Fee second. I know Fee quite well now. Like Fee said, Fee has been on the union council, has been a part-time officer within the union, and Fee has been one of the most active part-time officers that I've seen, and one of the most engaged in the meetings and in the motions, and it's always been a pleasure having her in the meetings. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. And last word of this candidate's question time goes to Vicky, please. Sorry, Vicky, one moment. You're
I would go for Sol. I would give my second vote to Sol. I voted for Sol last year on her manifesto, and on listening to her replies in this, although Fee was very good as well. That, yeah, sounds like you know what you're doing. So, yeah, well done to both of you.
Thank you to all of you. That's the end of the President Kent question time. We've got a short video coming up which just explains the voting system and the order of preference ranking system and how you actually vote. But thank you again to the candidates for helping with this and for putting themselves forward to be a candidate, and also for the question time. You've all done really well. Thank you very much. We'll be back on the other side of this video with the candidates and question time for President Surrey.
Creative Arts Students' Union uses the alternative vote, also known as AV. So how does AV work? Let's say we have 5 candidates in our election for Students' Union President. When you vote in the election, you'll be asked to rank the candidates in order of preference. This means you need to put a number 1 by your favourite, a number 2 by your second choice, and so on. In every election, a candidate called Reopen Nominations, also known as RON, will run. In the event you do not wish to vote for any of the candidates on the ballot, you can put RON as your number 1 choice. To win, a candidate must reach quota, which is the total number of votes divided by 2 plus 1. In our election, there have been 1,000 votes, so quota is 501. The votes are counted in rounds. In round 1, we count the number of number 1 votes that all candidates have received. We can see here that Jim is the most popular candidate with 400 votes, but no candidate has reached the quota of 501. As no candidate has reached quota, we now eliminate the least popular candidate. In this case, this is Ron, who only got 125 votes. We then look at the ballots that have marked Ron as first choice candidate. Some of those ballots also have a second choice vote. We transfer these second choice votes to the relevant candidates and count the votes again. In round 2, Jim is still most popular with 425 votes, but still no candidate has reached quota. The least popular candidate is Gemma, who is eliminated, and her votes are transferred to the next favourite candidate. This process continues until either one candidate reaches quota or only one candidate remains. If a candidate reaches quota, they're automatically elected. In our election, Bob didn't quite reach quota by the last round, but as he's the last candidate remaining, he's elected. For more information on AV, check out the Electoral Reform Society website or contact the returning officer in your students' union.
No. Sorry, you caught me a little bit overexcited there. I thought we were going to get started about 30 seconds earlier, but here we are. We're okay. So thanks for coming back and all joining us for the President Surrey candidate question time. We are joined by how many have we got? 5 candidates in this round. So we will go. First of all, I'm just going to introduce these candidates. So we've got Faisal from Epsom. No, we don't. Okay. Julia from Farnham, Logan from Farnham, Mason from Epsom, and Timmy from Epsom as well. So, and also Jaleel, sorry, hello. We've got you on here as well, also from Epsom. So we are going to take the same format as what we did with the President Kent elections, round. And we're going to start with a 2-minute introduction for each candidate to talk about themselves and also their manifesto. So we'll do it in whichever orders people want to go into. So can I have a volunteer to go first, please? Logan, you've put your hand up, so we'll go over you first, please.
Starting now? Fantastic, that's great. Hey guys, I'm Logan Bailey. I'm a 5th year student with a foundation, with a master's. Been here 5 years, a long 5 years, it's fine. And I did the film course here. So I've done the entire range of film that UC has to offer on the kind of Farnham campus. I like to get engaged in all the kind of different student activities and things they can do and kind of updates to student life. And I try to get involved in as much things as I can, including like societies, won awards for certain societies, associations in the first year. I won one of the best events things in the last year. Done all sorts that I can do for the uni up to this point. And now before I left, I went, okay, let's just go for it. And let's just make as big a change as we possibly can. I come from like a background on kind of like the autistic spectrum. I also have ADHD. At times that has made me come across a bit intense to people and a bit hyperactive and a bit crazy. But everywhere I've gone, people seem to know who I am. I take that as a compliment. Less so, I guess, the Epsom crowd. But like, I'm really, really excited to be here. Student well-being is like so incredibly important to me, as this is such a coming of age period of change in everyone's life. And I'm just honored to really be a part of it, honestly. Really excited to go against rather the candidates we are going against. And it's going to be fun. It's a very nerve-wracking experience, but here's hoping that we do well. In terms of my actual manifesto, things I'm focused on are more about kind of bringing out the creative arts of the creative arts uni, doing more stuff with the social circles, better access to Gateway, and getting involved in kind of like monthly topics and events that kind of are celebrated all year round. It's telling me on my phone I've got about 10 seconds left, so I'm not going to try and go over that, but that's pretty much me, and it's exciting to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, Logan. That was perfectly timed. Thank you. Who would like to go second? Just unmute yourself or put your hand up, please. Julia, do you want to go ahead? Thank you.
Sure. So, hi, my name is Julia, and I'm an illustration student. I've been at the university for 4 years because I did a foundation as well. And almost from year one, I've been like very involved with the union. I have been part of the Hellcats committee for 3 years now, which is the cheerleading squad for UCA. I've also been a student trustee last year, and I was also student governor, which kind of gave me an insight into how the university actually takes decisions, which I think is very useful when, as an SU officer, you are interacting with the university. My main campaign point is that I want to have a strong sense of community within UCA. I want both international and UK students to work together, to share culture, to influence each other, because I feel like that's the point of international students and UK students being on the same campus. I also want everyone to just feel included regardless of their identities. I want them to feel welcome and safe. So I want to work with existing campaigns and strengthen previous and create new ones that can help people feel more included. Also, just I think the accessibility measures on campus are not enough. I think there's a lot of issues with the existent ones, like doors not properly working, a lack of water fountains, things like that. So that's something that I want to push for change. And also, I want to keep supporting all the initiatives, both student-led and union-led, that have come about around the sexual harassment on campus, as well as implementing new things like better sex education and consent courses and stuff.
Julia, I'm sorry to cut you off there. That's time. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Can I have a third volunteer, please?
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Timmy. Do you want to go ahead? Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Oluwerotimi Shosan, known as Timmy. I'm currently studying in University for the Creative Arts in Epsom on a foundation program, which later in the year I'll be progressing into Bachelor of Arts in Photography. My choice of running was to inspire students and help them, as I have been a peer supporter in my previous college. With that experience, I believe I can also help students get their voice heard. And I think that's all I can say for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timmy. I'm looking for a fourth, please. Now I've got Jalil. Jalil, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jalil. I study events and promotions management. I'm a first year, and so right now I'm currently an ambassador as well. So I work with the ambassador courses. So I help, with like getting people to come to the uni, sort of help with events that are happening. So there's a couple open days I'm going to be helping with. I'm also a class rep, so I'm also trying to sort of help sort out my course as well. So I kind of want to take it to the next level and start helping everyone else, because there's been a lot of us that sort of raise concerns with like the lack of sort of understanding when it comes to some of our lectures, and sort of some of us not really enjoying it but want more collaborations, because most of our courses ultimately fall into the same category. We all, are creative. We all want to work together in the future when it comes to, professional work. So doing it now is great practice, and I think it would be good for us. Also want to raise concerns on sort of materials within the uni, that like including the canteen and stuff. So a lot of people can't always afford to sort of buy lunch every single day when they're in, especially, fashion students who are in 5 days a week. They can't always buy stuff. So I think we need to work on having some things available for people, like microwaves, hot water, if they, don't have to constantly buy it. I think there's a lot of people that want to work more, have more events, because there's not a lot of events in Epsom for us. Even when it came to Freshers Week, most of it was at the Faraday. Not everyone wants to go Faraday and drink, because not everyone drinks. So I think it needs to be more inclusive for everyone, and I kind of want to do that. So, yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Jalil.
Thank you.
So, Foyso and Mason, we've I can't see you. You've got your camera off at the moment. You don't have to turn it on, but I need some way of knowing if you're ready to speak, please. So if you could unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, I've heard that Mason was having tech issues. So, Foyso, are you available to join in and introduce yourself and your manifesto, please?
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunities. My name is Faisal Mubarak, and currently I'm studying in the UCA GMBM course. Now I'm going to tell about my manifesto, and I stand for the president's study. I'm gonna work with for family free painting allowance, 15% discount for the cafeterias, more financial supports for all the students, expanding the current job shops, and I'm running for president. I'm currently. I believe that education should not come at the cost of hardship. As a community, we should strive to ensure the betterment of each other's lives. Uh, I'm a big proponent of creating dialogues in a safe space where we can discuss and share the needs of students fundamental to their experience at UCA. As the president, I will work hard to reflect those essentials in the service and benefits provided by the universities. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we are waiting to see if Mason can join us. There's some tech issues going there. So hang on. I don't know, Mason, are you here? Are you available to introduce yourself? Okay, right. We might not be able to connect there. So what we'll do is we'll bring them back in if we get those tech issues sorted out. So we're going to move on to the first question. We give the candidates 3 minutes to answer this question. So once your 3 minutes are up, I will interrupt you and call time. We're going to start with Logan, and the question is: how would you work towards equitable student representation on all 4 campuses? How would you work towards equitable student representation on all 4 campuses? Logan, over to you.
Yeah. Okay, great. So this is actually something I gave a lot of thought about. In terms of when I was thinking about representation, it was also making me think about communication and kind of the access everyone has. When speaking to some of the previous presidents, specifically in the Farnham area, because I don't know the Epsom ones that well, they were always saying that they felt that the communication was always lacking with the students to the glass house or the students to the student union. There was something that was stopping people from doing that. And I was thinking one of the key points in my manifesto for things like representation and getting voices out there and getting heard is what I want to do is I want to start like a podcast or, work in collaboration, the student union and the radio courses to do like a weekly kind of radio show. Because I think in terms of that, that's how you get the widest variety of people out there, depending on what kind of themed month the student union might be interested in doing, thinking about what kind of different courses are around, because on both the Epsom course and on the Farnham campus, we have so many different kind of courses and there are so many different kind of voices more so that can be heard. And I think giving that kind of one-on-one kind of dichotomy and kind of interaction really can encourage other people to speak up, to talk about kind of issues and well-being and kind of healthy debates, and talk about kind of like mental health and politics, or like courses or what the unis have to offer, or plug events. And because the main thing I was talking with our current Farnham president about was they were like, on social media, there's no back and forth. In fact, if anything, it's a lot of students just complaining. And I was thinking, well, how do we open up a dialogue for not niche groups, but everyone to be able to talk? And I was just thinking, well, put people on a platform, a creative platform, that people can have one-on-one discussions, and it can kind of make people feel more open and feel more like they want to talk. Of course, that does like spread to all of the campuses, and my aim would be to have a very kind of close-knit and good social understanding with kind of the Kent electee, whoever that may end up being. But I just think that's the kind of fun and engaging thing that you can mix courses with. You can work with courses, radio courses, music courses, and just bring different people on. Because I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying that they didn't even really have a course leader. And that really, really shocked me, because I was like, surely that's not fair. But no, we just don't have one. And I'm thinking, I only just heard about this. And this is stuff everyone should be like talking about. So it's giving people a safe space to be able to bring up issues that is like non-biased, non-judgmental, is about the person that's going on. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And it's switched up and it's topical and it's focused, and people will come on when they have something to say. And that will also enlighten everyone else to everyone else's issues in a way that like a Snapchat story or an Instagram story or a confessions Instagram kind of can't do. It's more open and honest kind of discussion. Yeah, that was my kind of main thought process of that question.
Thank you. That was exactly 3 minutes also. So next, Faisal, can we go over to you, please, to answer this question? How how would you work towards equitable student representation on all 4 campuses?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I'm sorry for the camera. My camera doesn't work properly, that's why I turned it off, and for the better quality of internet.
No problem.
So, as a student representation, first of all, I'd like to make sure to providing everyone what they need to achieve their goal in the campus life, like university life, or came out from the current running problems. And I'd be proud ambassador for all 4 campuses and represent them in a manner that best promotes their representative reputations. Every campus has students representative, each including online, except in the case of smaller campuses like Rochester's, where there is a student elected from all of the cohorts to represent the interest of smaller campuses. Each equity representative convenes the equity collectives elected by students from within their collectives, including representations of international and home students. And President, I really like to promote all students' interest, regardless of their demographic. Our fundamental ideals as a union of student are equality, diversity, and inclusion. This strategy and action plan outcome outlines how the union of students like UCA has achieved the Equality Act 2010 equality obligations by putting students at the center of all we do. I devote myself to ensure that everything we do correctly is inclusive and equitability. The goal of students representatives to ensure energies the university student body. Each representative is a student from a variety of backgrounds, like cultures and academic disciplines. On each campus, a student representative will be available to listen and assist with issues but no, not limited, like I can say price and place to eat, transportation and parking, the standard of academic instructions, service and amenities for students, campus life, clubs and societies, and many more like campaigns and social actions, campus ideas and activities for educations. And the last thing is campus security for people with disability. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia, we'll come to you next, please. Would you like me to repeat the question, or are you happy answering?
No, I'm happy answering.
Okay.
Basically, I think the most important thing to do is to first actually get to the students by having a strong union presence on all campus. What do I mean by that? Well, getting students involved in activities, not just nightlife ones like the ones that we offer in Glasshouse in Farnham, but also day cultural activities and clubs and societies on those campuses where after hours student life isn't as big, like Epsom. That would consist of mainly, well, organizing daily cultural activities or moving and implementing clubs and societies that have been proven to work on certain campuses to others. So promote that kind of movement and creation of societies. And I believe that once students are actually engaged with the union and it's a common part of their life, they will become more invested in it. And it's when the student union can start properly reaching out to them to achieve that kind of like back and forth with them, communication, knowing what they truly want from their campus. And the student union can also start actually offering roles to those students, part-time officers and positions where they can make that change that they want. But I believe that unless a student knows and trusts the union, they won't really know what to do with it. So I think the first point is to establish that sort of trust with them by being there and being present.
Thanks, Julia. Julia, would you want to come in here?
Yeah, I think in terms of like, I think there's a lot of people in all campuses, obviously. and there's a lot of people of different backgrounds or different heritages. And I think that we need to ensure that when there's an event on a separate campus, it needs to also be on the other campuses as well. Because by default, you're already excluding a larger group of people, not only excluding a small group, you're excluding the whole campus, which means not everyone's getting the same sort of experience as they are hoping for. And we all sort of want, like what you were saying, everyone wants more day life activities because not everyone wants to go out and stay out late. People want to be more interactive, people want to get to know each other. I think we need more sort of clubs in all campuses and also have a lot more, club fairs, for example. So like when there's open days, have some of the club members come so they can join in and be like, oh, hi, we're a club on this campus, we do this. We're always happy to have new people because by default, that means people already know, oh, there's something for me to do when I get there. I'm not going to be stuck. You can have a group of friends before you arrive. And that's why there's forums and stuff. And I think, especially when it comes to a lot of sort of cultural events that happen throughout the year. There's Black History Month, there's St. Patrick's Day, there's, everything. There's a lot of different things. I think we need to do more on those days because some people do move far away from home. They don't, they can't really do the traditions all the time. Like Chinese New Year, there wasn't really much that happened on the Epsom campus, but the students took it upon themselves. But I think giving them a place to do it, a larger area, would make them feel more comfortable because that means they know there's going to be a lot of us there. So we're going to be able to feel more comfortable, feel more, at home. And that's what it's about. So I think inclusion, with all diversity and all different types of people is a must because, we're all sort of in the same boat. Most of us are away from home. We want to, learn more about each other. We want to learn more about ourselves. And by sort of making sure we have events for everyone throughout days, not just the nighttime lives, like even when it's like in general, we need more of it. And I think that's pretty much it.
Cool, thank you. And Timmy, can you pick up this to round this question off, please?
Oh, okay. So can anyone hear me now?
Yeah, we've got you.
Okay. Yeah, as students, we are chosen to be brand ambassadors of the campus because as we go out there, we know we represent each campuses as who we are. However, students from different backgrounds come in different barriers that some of them don't often understand the cultures of a new country. So they have to adapt into how the culture works, and also it takes time for them. And they also deserve a voice to be heard around the campuses. And due to human rights, it is quite common in all campuses that, because I have also been into a peer support union where we had to let other students express their own opinions if they're not happy with certain things like the lecture times and also subjects they offer. So with that experience, they have the right to get their voice heard in the campuses.
Thanks, Timmy. So that's the full set for this question. We'll move on to the next. Thank you for some insightful answers on quite an important question. So we've got a question which has been sent through by a student prior to this evening, and it's another great question, important one to consider. So the question is, how will you strike a balance between all of your manifesto commitments while still delivering significant gains for students? Julia, can you go first on this one, please?
Yeah, so obviously everyone's manifesto points are for the gain of students. What we want to do is to promote student well-being first and foremost. But obviously, the manifesto points all turn into campaigns later down the line, and campaigns are just a part of what student union presidents do. So I think the the idea would be to obviously run those campaigns, but still be fully open to student voices coming through and asking for other things, and taking those things and also turning them into active campaigns that can reap results. I think that would be it for me.
Thank you. Jalil, can you pick up next, please?
Yeah, could you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes, it is. How will you strike a balance between all of your manifesto commitments while still delivering significant gains for students?
Well, for me, my manifesto points were points that I thought about and asked some of my peers because I was curious on to hear what everyone, thinks. Because a lot of people, we all think when we first come to uni, how would this be if it was different? So the points on there are not everything that I want to do. So I want to obviously make sure that people's voices are being heard. So I'll make sure I ask people because a lot of points are from large groups of people. Because ultimately we all want a similar experience, but we want to live it differently. So for me, I definitely want to make sure that I ask people and want to hear their thoughts and pick their brains and let me sort of understand them as individuals, but how they want to be overall. Because a lot of us, like I said, do want the same things.
Thank you. Timmy, over to you, please. You're muted there, Timmy.
Yeah. Okay. My manifesto, most of the students in my campus have actually complained about not having access to the internet on campus because of the service on. So if I'm able to, if I get elected, I'll be able to work alongside with the Gateway team to help build a better and efficient server for my campus, and also to let students gain access wherever they are around campuses without a low service on campus.
Thank you. Logan, can we have you next, please?
So this is something I thought an awful lot about and took a lot of consideration into when I actually started putting my campaign together, because I didn't want to have manifesto points that I didn't think could all reasonably be achieved in the course of 1 year. So when I was attacking my manifesto points, I went, what's the stuff that I'm going to personally want to focus on the day-to-day level whilst working in tandem with the student union? And then in my free time, that's all about having a kind of campus presence. I pretty much agree with everything Julia said on this one, where a big thing is it's about being present and it's about being there and having that open dialogue with the students. That's how you kind of manage that. It's physically being there, whether that's being traveling to the kind of different campuses or however else. And striking that balance is in terms of when I'm by myself, I'll probably be focusing on my manifesto points and getting them done and discussing the kind of logistics of how they can even be achieved. But in that kind of small periods where I'm not directly doing that, it's all about campus life. It's about the well-being of the students. It's about how are they doing, because that's all the stuff that we all genuinely really care about, this kind of life stage, and making every individual kind of feel heard whilst still knowing I have a job to do. It's just reminding them that my care is genuinely for their well-being. So it's all about kind of on a day-to-day level how you kind of manage your time. So it's all about scheduling the focus for that, but then also just being there and not being absent from the office every single day. That's kind of how I kind of approach that.
Thank you. And finally, Faisal, please.
Hello. You hear me?
Hey.
Yeah, thank you. I really would like to do the better things for the students, and I will keep my commitment. I'll try my best to keep my commitments. And if I get stuck in any point, I will take the help from the current president or from the Gateway teams. I will work with them, and I will try to work with the department and I will go to the students. I will ask them about their problems, and I'll try to solve like as much I can, and I will be one of them, and I will represent them in such a nice way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there's some strong answers there, and something that the next president, will definitely have to consider. Our third question is the same as what was put to the President Kent candidates earlier. It's from the Pro Vice Chancellor Student Experience at UCA, Sarah Clark. Sarah works really closely with the Students' Union and would like to ask the following question. It's, what do you see as important to a strong working relationship between UCA and the Students' Union? What do you see as important to a strong working relationship between UCA and the Students' Union? We've got 2.5 minutes each, and we're going to start with Julia, please.
Hello. So obviously, I think the student union and the university should see each other as collaborators, mostly because the university's objective is to give students the best possible education, right? And a part of that is the student experience. They're like completely linked together. And obviously, the union has a very big hand on that student experience. I think we should be able to work with them towards bettering the student experience and also making sure that any big changes that they go with, that they choose to make happen, have as little negative impact as possible on the students' life, and also that they're truly done in their best interests, that it's really done for students to be better educated, have more career choices and like job opportunities when they leave university, so that they can become more global citizens, as like the university likes to promote. That's what our focus should be when interacting with the university. That's it.
Thank you. Timmy, can I bring you in next, please?
Do you think, okay. The type of relationship that I think student union should have with UCA is we should learn to communicate with one another and find out the barriers that is actually affecting students within campuses and how they can get their voices heard, and also interact with the student union committee directly via social media platforms and emails, so that we can also work on finding out the problems and solutions to work together in building a better community for the campus.
Thank you. Faisal, can I bring you in, please?
I think it's good communicate the opinion of students, as ultimately students union are built around making the voice of students heard. It's also important to never be complaints. We're always looking to improve what we do while meeting our students' needs. And I think the relationship with the students union between the UCA, it's like it has to be like friendly, and each of them is connected to with each other's like. And I'm represent the students, and whatever they need, they're gonna ask for me. If I get selected, they're gonna ask for me to help, and I will handle these things with the university authorities, such as nice way. Thank you.
Thank you. Logan, can we come to you next, please?
Yeah, so in terms of addressing like Sarah's thing directly, I think that it's just the understanding that like the UCA direct is about kind of the education, the numbers, the GPA, the courses, but the student union's focus should really be on kind of well-being and the student life. And at such a important time, you know, like 18 to 25-year-old age demographic, that's such a time of change, of going from a teenager into a young adult. And that will definitely affect the teaching, and it will definitely affect everyone's experience individually. And I think the main thing that comes from that is just transparency and communication in terms of how I think personally the student union should work with the greater UCA brand is more like with compromise. I think compromising, instead of being at odds, instead of being frustrated or at each other's throats, which I have heard tale of in the past, I think it's just kind of going, we have different areas of focus, but in terms of our intent to just the best university experience possible, we are the same there. And it's all push and pull between kind of the logistics and the numbers and the business end, as well as just the reputation of the greater uni as a whole. So it's just kind of transparency, communication between these different factors, and learning to kind of compromise where we can to make sure the students do feel heard and they do have as good a time in their kind of personal well-being and mental health as much as we'd want them to have in their individual courses. So it's really boils down to just kind of listening, understanding, and empathizing that every student is kind of on their own path, and there's no set rigid way to just do that. And it all has to be kind of taken in on a case-by-case basis, doing kind of what's best for the individual. That's what I believe.
Thank you. And last but not least, Jalil, can you come on this one, please?
Hi, yeah. So I think it's definitely finding, a balance, because there's two sides. One's very much academic, and then one is how do we improve social life and how do we improve, communication with our peers and people, talking to other people, making friends. So, because our academics do affect our mental health in terms of, even if it's going out, some people choose not to go out because they have too much work, or they just don't have the time and they're too stressed and stuff. And I think our jobs are to raise sort of issues like that and make sure that we understand each other, whether it's negative or positive, because no idea is a bad idea. You have to sort of speak to each other, learn more about each other, spend enough time. You can't have a meeting every 3 months and say, yeah, we know what's going on, because things can change very quickly. Nothing can be stopped. You have to have regular meetups so we understand each other more. We know how everyone's feeling, because we want to do more things socially, but I just want to help academically as well. Like, that's why I want more people to pair up in terms of courses when it comes to our actual work, because I do events. I would love to pair up with the fashion students and help them do a fashion show, and then partner up with photography, and they could come to the shows as well and help. So not only does that benefit us socially, it also benefits us, academically, because that means you're practicing for your future, which is why you took that course. So I think we need to make sure we talk to each other, understand each other, raise any concerns, raise all the good things that we've done, make sure you praise each other, because it's not easy to run a university, and it's not easy to run it academically and socially, because not everyone's a social butterfly. So you have to put everyone into consideration, and that's why you talk to your peers, and that's why you talk to the union. But yeah,
thank you. That's right to time there. So we're going to move over to questions from people who are watching. We're taking questions via our YouTube comments section, as dangerous as that might be. And so we're going to start off with a question from Anonymous, which says, question for the candidates: which members of union staff did you speak to about your manifestos? We don't have an order set for this, so if you want to put your hand up, if you want to go, or unmute yourself and start speaking, that's fine. Over to you.
Hi.
Julia, go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
Timmy can go first, since he was gonna speak as well.
Oh, thank you. About my manifesto, I didn't actually contact any member of staff because I had to do my research on my own and also find out the issues about what students were actually concerned about. So I had to plan how I'll research on my manifesto and then bring up the points together and what I can do if elected. alongside working with the members of staff on campus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia. We'll come back to you now then.
So for my manifesto points, I mostly spoke with Gabe, which is the current SU president of Surrey, and they were actually really helpful. I mostly spoke with them about like the concerns I had about the uni, and we bounced back and forth with those concerns, whether they also saw them there or not. Those were things that I had noticed from talking with other students and interacting with just the life on campus, I guess. And also, I spoke with Vanessa, who I believe is activities coordinator, about it, because I am a firm believer on clubs and societies being a great way for people to get involved with the union, especially at first. So I talked with her about it as well, and all of their feedback was honestly very helpful. It really helped me focus the points that I wanted to put on the manifesto, because it was a lot bigger, so it helped me narrow it down.
Thank you. Who'd like to go third? I will just pick on someone if you don't put your hand up. Jaleel, go ahead.
Hi. So I didn't speak to a member of the union because I thought that for me to get a better understanding of what I sort of want, I need to speak to the current students of the year. So I like in my lessons, I'll just speak to people like, what do you think should change? What do you like? But I didn't want them to know I was running, so I opened it up in a sort of a conversations because I wanted to, understand how everyone else was feeling. Because before I realized there was a running thing, like already I was sort of going to accommodation saying, hi, like we need like this fixed because there's a lot of people who have this issue, or people are concerned with this. Because I was like, well, so a lot of people are scared to voice their opinions because they don't know the outcome. So I was like, well, I might as well ask people how they feel and then apply it, because we're probably thinking the same things because it's a large group of people. So I just kind of just asked my peers and friends, some teachers as well, to see how they were feeling, because they're also part of the school. So yeah.
Thank you. I've got we're still waiting to hear from Logan and Faisal. So obviously I can't see your hand, Faisal, if you're putting it up, but if you'd like to unmute, or Logan can go first. Okay, Logan, you go first. Faisal will come to you after Logan's slogan.
Okay, great. See, this is really interesting because I didn't want to be kind of directed necessarily in terms of my manifesto. So when I expressed interest in actually doing this role, I just spoke to as many people in terms of the student union that I could about me, because again, having been here like 5 years, I felt very, very comfortable approaching people. I spoke to Hadley Keenan, who works on events in the Farnham campus. I spoke to Gabe as well, who was nothing but really incredible, absolute great advice to me. I didn't get a chance to speak to Sol, even though I wanted to. I spoke to Cara and Maria a little bit. Some people whose names I'm not really remembering. But I also did speak to you, Andy. But the main thing what I wanted to get out of those discussions was me as a human being. What would I personally distinctly be able to bring to this job in terms of my perspective and my thought process? Once I had those conversations and people realized I genuinely do take it seriously and want to do a really good job, at that point, I kind of, when I decided I'm definitely going to be doing this, I switched my focus to going mostly to the students' voices directly in terms of the manifesto. I spent a lot of my time mainly talking to first years, because I actually thought if you've only been here about 6 or 7 months, then the fact that university is new is still absolutely fresh in your mind. Like you can directly go there compared to like your first day 6 months ago and go, oh, what would I rather was different, as it's all hitting you at once. I realized that the second years also had their first year under COVID and under lockdown, and the third years very, very much thinking about what's ahead in life. So I went, the first years are the ones that actually have to go through the next 2 years. So their voices would probably be the most invulnerable in terms of what they would want changed or how they felt. And that's the kind of thing that directed my manifesto, on top of, again, my personal kind of ideals and what I felt the uni could need and what the uni could use going forward. But in terms of the staff, I spoke to as many people as I could, but I primarily spoke to them about me and whether I'd actually be the right person for the job, because I didn't want to apply if that wasn't going to be the case. But it was the students that I spoke to mostly about the manifesto.
Thank you. Finally, Faisal, are you there and able to chip in on this?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, I haven't got any chance to speak with anybody, and I was in lately in this site. That's why I couldn't speak to anybody about the manifesto. And the short time I got the short time, and in this short time I did some short research just about the university's current positions. And in my viewpoint, what I saw, it's like our expenses going up day by day, and I thought I think I can do something in this section for the students, and that's how I organized my manifesto. And there are so many things I can explain after. Thank you.
Thank you. I will just stay on this point that union staff don't have a vote in this election, and we're not members of the union, so we follow strict rules to remain impartial throughout this process. So any information or guidance that we give to anybody considering running for election, we make sure that we provide the same standard of information or advice to all candidates, so that we don't appear or find ourselves to be seen to be biased. So any student is able to come and talk to any member of the union throughout the nomination period or at any other time about running for election, and will remain impartial in that. So that's something I wanted to mention as we finish off that question. We're going to be going to our next question, which is going to be from Fee Hobbs. Fee is running as President Kent candidate and asks, how would you plan to work together with President Kent, especially as not all issues are the same across all the campuses? Again, I'm not going to pick on anyone straight away. I'm going to ask for volunteers to answer this question. So if you could make yourself known if you'd like to speak. Logan, was that you? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's a really interesting question, actually, because I never personally stepped foot on the Kent campuses. And all of these campuses are so wildly different, as you were mentioning, with kind of the issues and the problems people face. In terms of the Surrey campuses, you've got to, in terms of the direct work, you're going to divide it between the Epsom and the Farnham campuses. But in terms of Kent, to make it all feel unified, that really depends on kind of really getting a good vibe of kind of the student community over there, or how it's ran differently over there. And that comes from just kind of really focusing on building that relationship with whoever has ran. What is the kind of agenda and points they want to achieve? Is there anything on our end that we can do to help achieve their points, even though they might negate our own? Because of course we have to support each other and we have to go to each other's campuses. So my gut thought with that is, well, it's kind of like a treat how you'd want to be treated kind of situation. I would love these people to help me out in any way that they could. And likewise, I'm not just thinking about my own campus here. I'm not just thinking about the Surrey campuses here. It's all about kind of what can make the well-being positive spread wide, even if all the kind of contexts are different. And that only comes from just being very, very honest, very, very upfront, and also very, very calculated in how you talk. Like, you need to make sure you can schedule for consistent communication. You can't be so focused on your own areas that you neglect the others. So it's all about kind of striking that balance, because, for this last year, this last 12 months or whatever, Kent also has 2 campuses, which they won't next year. So instead of it being Surrey lot have 2 campuses and the Kent has 1, right now it's directly equal. So you can kind of compare notes on kind of strategies and how things are going, and get kind of a sense of the social life. And from that, you can kind of compare and contrast and kind of get a good sense on what's right for each campus through that, because the vibe is going to be different everywhere.
Who's going to go next, please? Oh, I don't know. We'll do it alphabetically. Julia, do you want to go in there?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
hang on, wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Leo, you'll go first, please.
Me? Oh,
Yep.
it's me. Hi. Okay. I think just, making sure that we sort of understand each other as well, because, not everyone's always in the same situation. Not everyone had the same concerns. Some people enjoy the way things work. So I think just making sure we talk, because if we don't talk, then how are we going to work with each other? Because I love working with people. So I think just having a basic understanding and the rundown of your campus. So how's your campus in general? Like, how do you think the education is there? How do you think, they go around sorting out issues? It's like not just issues on campus, but issues at accommodations and stuff, but that's still part of the uni. So, and obviously I will tell you my points so we can start understanding each other and get onto the same page, because we just want to improve the uni overall, not just one section. Because what's the point in improving one section when everything else is completely different? You kind of want everyone to, enjoy, have fun, learn, do all these things. So I'll make sure to speak to you often. Communication is key. We have emails. We all have the emails. We all know we can find each other's emails very easily. Just their first name and their last name, it pops up in a second. So there's sort of no excuse to not be able to communicate. And it's fun working with people. So, yeah.
Thank you. Julia, you were going to go next. Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously, I think the first part of that would be establishing frequent and fluent communication between both positions, and finding, first of all, like a common ground. Obviously, because campuses are different and students are different, the issues on each place are going to be different, but there's probably going to be issues that are similar for both Surrey and Kent. So finding that common ground to work on those things together. And when things are not the same and when issues are different, finding ways to support each other from our own place. So if Kent had an issue, for example, in which way can the Surrey campuses, the students even, help with that? Is there a way for the students to raise their voice and ask the university to do certain things? Is it like a union campaign thing? Also, since I mentioned it before, student union presence is very important. So I would personally love to invite the Kent officer to Surrey, and as the Surrey officer, go to Kent, make yourself known, make yourself available to those students as well, and just be there for them. That's it.
Thank you. Timmy, I think you had your hand up before. You're muted. No, we can't hear you yet.
Hello?
Yep, got you.
Yeah. It's all basically about the work relationship that you want to establish within, like if the president of Kent is being elected, you want to get to know your work in the work relationship on who you're going to be working with, and also your colleagues as well, so that they won't just feel you're a stranger in the community. And also, you should understand the way students think, because all mind barriers are different. People come from different cultures and backgrounds where they won't understand. Even I could say few students, their first language isn't English language. They came from different cultures as well, and with with that relationship, you can help establish a background between knowing your presidents and also how you can all work together to build a better community for all campuses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think We're waiting. I think finally we're going to hear from Faisal.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think the most important thing is to build a clear network with each president. And it's true that the students are not same. The issues are not same from all across the campuses, because the students came from different background, different cultures, different educational disciplines, and it might have some problems. So the building a great network is the best things, and the communication has to be like the community has to be very strong with that to solve all of the issues all across the campuses. And one more thing is I really love to work with the people around with me, and we have to be collaborate all of them together, and we have to work together to find out which problems are facing the students, and which is good for them, and that's how we should work, and that's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we have time for one more question from the comments, which was received a little bit earlier as part of our President Kent question time. And then I'm going to have one more question after that. So the question for you now is from Gabe, who is our current President Surrey, which is, how would you work to increase the visibility of sabbatical officers on UCA campuses? As a reminder, sabbatical officers is another name for President Surrey or President Kent. So how would you work to increase the visibility of the President Surrey and President Kent on UCA campuses? Julia, do you want to go first?
So this is something that I've thought about quite a lot. I genuinely think that the time that officers work on campus should be somewhat equally divided between both campuses. Both campuses have an office, and I think sabbatical officers should try and divide their time as equally as possible, of course. If one campus really requires the attention because of the issues present on it or any problems, that would have to come first. But as much as possible, be there physically on both campuses and approach people on like common areas. Try to promote student union activities as physically as possible. Obviously, as well, online presence is very important. Showing yourself on the social medias of the union so that people can recognize your face when you are actually there on campus is an important thing. But mostly I would just say being there physically, being on campus and walking around and engaging with the students as much as possible, I think would be the best way to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Jalil, you just got pipped to the post there with your hand. So do you want to go next? You just muted yourself again.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back. I think sort of making sure, people know who you are, because not everyone's going to pay attention and know that we're all running and know who's, trying to help sort out everything. So I think definitely put up some posters, put up your manifesto that you've used, like make sure that people know, like, hey guys, by the way, if you want to raise concerns, let me know. Open up online forums, sort of just work towards it. Be active, communicate. We're all here and we're all, doing this right now. So none of us are shy. So I'm pretty sure all of us could do it. And I think our main goal is making sure that everyone knows, by the way, I'm in your shoes. I know what you're going through. I'm understanding you. Talk to me. Don't be scared to talk to me. And make sure you separate yourself, have enough time on both campuses, make sure they know you as well. Like, just be there, go experience, go to one of the events and be like, oh, by the way, I'm network. it's sort of what we do. It's kind of what the industry we're going into as well. So I think that's what we need to make sure we do. And I think even put one of those, like, I don't know, those big banners and say, hey, by the way, this is your president of, sorry, I want to do this, I want to help you this. You can contact me here, put your socials down, put your student email, do things that are very easily able to do. People will respond because people like to, raise concerns, say, oh, by the way, this was really good. I really enjoyed this. You get feedback. And yeah.
Thank you for that. Faisal, can we take you next, please?
Yes, hello. I think the most important thing to visibility of sabbatical officers on UCA campuses is like I have to increases my value, and actually I don't have that enough knowledge about these things right now, and I would like to take some notes from the Wilson, who is the current president right now, and I'd appreciate this.
Okay, thank you. We'll wrap up this question by going Timmy, then Logan, please.
Hi. Yeah. Hello.
Hiya, we can hear you.
How would I work to increase visibility of sabbatical officers on UCA campuses? Yeah, first, I'll first of all get myself known to the union officers and also let them know who I am and why I'm running. And also, working with them, we'll have to establish finding out the problems, what students are very concerned about, and also how we can work together as a team to build on solving those issues. Because not only one person can go through all 4 campuses, we have to divide ourselves. And if we have different roles allocated to different members of the union, we can all communicate together using social media platforms. And also, with that visibility, we can also work on how we can solve problems arising in the campus, and also helping other students understand our job role as the union officers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Logan, we'll finish this question off with you, please.
It's absolutely about just visibility, and it's about branding. That's something that I've always noticed. In my 5 years, the presidents that I would often feel like the ones I could approach the most and the ones I felt the most open around were often, ironically, the ones that had a good presence before taking on that role, the ones that had kind of bigger personalities and always had a kind of bubbly and enthusiastic kind of aura. I've had some presidents in my time here that I'd be like scared to approach, and no one wants that. No one wants that, especially when you just moved away from home and you're 18 and you're in a new place. The main thing is about being like relatable and being open and not being judgmental and feeling approachable to the other students. It's about having an awareness about that kind of stuff in a kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of way. And this is very personal to me because I know the kind of person I am. But if I was on the other campuses for the first like 2 or 3 months, I would absolutely have just like a custom shirt on that says like I am the Farnham, I come from Farnham campus, or I am UCA Surrey president dash, and say where I did my education. So people who would even see me on the other campuses, if I'm out and about in casual clothes, they'll be like, oh, I already know immediately who that guy is because it literally says it on his clothing. Where maybe they could still feel like they could approach me even if I'm not, let's say, as familiar with their campus. But it's all about just carrying the tone and the aura of the kind of student union with you, and being kind of what you would wish you had when you were a student. And for me, that was someone who was uplifting, that was someone who was open, and that was someone who was always present and energized and got engaged with things like the social media and like the events, and treated every student equally. And it's the main thing is people want to be heard and they want to get support. And it's all about accepting that everyone's on this journey and making it feel one-on-one and making it feel kind of personable. And when you're on the different campuses, which, you know, personally speaking, I would rather ambitiously aim to be there like at least twice a week. But like, it's all about making them know who you are, and more than that, making them know that they can approach you. It's about carrying that tone with you and being just approachable and fun, and someone that they genuinely feel like they can confide in, because that's pretty much one of the most important things socially about taking that role.
Thank you. So that's the end of our prepared questions. We've got a very short round next, which is 15 seconds to answer. But the way that the voting works is that students vote in order of preference. So they rank their candidates in order of preference. Number one next to their first choice, number two next to their second choice, and so on. So all the candidates will be asking you to put them as number one on the ballot sheet. But candidates, we'd like you to tell us, if students were to ask you they should vote for number two, who would you say of the current candidates? Logan, can we start back with you, please?
Wow, only 15 seconds. That's really, really, really tough. In terms of what I've been kind of hearing directly, I like kind of like Jalil's kind of thought process about just kind of being present and opening up the communications more. At the same time, I'm really kind of digging kind of what Julia is saying about kind of just taking the social matters into consideration as well. So like, this is really, really tough because I hadn't had that much time to think about it. But I'm actually, to be completely honest, I'm loving everything I'm hearing from everyone.
Last time, thank you, Logan. Thank you. Timmy, can we take you next, please?
Okay, I'm still. Okay, if I'm chosen as first choice, I'll actually recommend that if I'm going to be the first choice candidate, I'll also go with Julia as the second, because people want to see a diverse culture. We don't want to have just one gender president.
That's 15 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Julia, can we take you next, please?
Yeah, definitely. Well, after today's debate and hearing everyone explain their points further, I think both Logan and Jalil are really good options for president of Surrey. So yeah.
Thank you. And Faisal, can I take you next, and then Jalil, please?
It's a bit difficult questions, but I recommend Logan and Julia, but I'm confused with both of them because they have much experience. And if I can say I will go for Logan.
Thank you. That's time also. And finally, Jalil, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I'm torn as well. I kind of like hearing everyone's kind of thoughts. I'm gonna say Logan or Julia, both of them are very, very good. I really like all their ideas. So if I don't, make it, if I'm not number one, I'd love for one of them to be number one. I like absolutely. So yeah, both any of them.
Thank you very much, and thank you to that's the end of the questions. You'll be pleased to hear. So thank you so much for your time tonight and all of your answers, and for putting yourself forward to do this. It is something which is not easy to face this sort of format and all these questions on the spot like this. So big credit for you for doing that. Thank you. Voting is now open. So until 4 p.m. on Friday, all current UCA students will be eligible to vote. You will be voting for President Kent, President Surrey, part-time officers on your campus, and also the Nus Referendum, which is where we're asking whether the Students' Union should remain affiliated to NUS. So you'll have a yes or no choice on that. You'll be able to read more information about all the candidates on our website at ucasu.com/elections. That's also where you can vote. And you'll also be able to find the arguments for and against the referendum question on that website also. So as a reminder, voting is open now until 4 p.m. on Friday. At 6 p.m. on Friday, we'll have another stream like this to announce the results. But good luck to all the candidates, and thank you to everybody who is voting. That's the end of our stream tonight. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on Friday.
Creative Arts Students' Union uses the alternative vote, also known as AV. So how does AV work? Let's say we have 5 candidates in our election for Students' Union President. When you vote in the election, you'll be asked to rank the candidates in order of preference. This means you need to put a number 1 by your favourite, a number 2 by your second choice, and so on. In every election, a candidate called Reopen Nominations, also known as RON, will run. In the event you do not wish to vote for any of the candidates on the ballot, you can put RON as your number 1 choice. To win, a candidate must reach quota, which is the total number of votes divided by 2 plus 1. In our election, there have been 1,000 votes, so quota is 501. The votes are counted in rounds. In round 1, we count the number of number 1 votes that all candidates have received. We can see here that Jim is the most popular candidate with 400 votes, but no candidate has reached the quota of 501. As no candidate has reached quota, we now eliminate the least popular candidate. In this case, this is Ron, who only got 125 votes. We then look at the ballots that have marked Ron as first choice candidate. Some of those ballots also have a second choice vote. We transfer these second choice votes to the relevant candidates and count the votes again. In round 2, Jim is still most popular with 425 votes, but still no candidate has reached quota. The least popular candidate is Gemma, who is eliminated, and her votes are transferred to the next favourite candidate. This process continues until either one candidate reaches quota or only one candidate remains. If a candidate reaches quota, they're automatically elected. In our election, Bob didn't quite reach quota by the last round, but as he's the last candidate remaining, he's elected. For more information on AV, check out the Electoral Reform Society website or contact the returning officer in your students' union.